Welcome to the 21 Convention 2019 of Orlando, Florida.
From my experience, the 21 Convention is a coming of the minds for various wide ranges of topics, be it health and wellness, fitness, dating, relationships, even finance and entrepreneurship. And I find that really valuable and important.
So to me, it's real world accountability. Men need to start meeting up with other men, be held accountable, and then you'll find the consequences of that.
We're here to experience these things. We can only really learn from experience. Why somebody who's very book smart, not wise. My big thing with it is just having awareness.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that people will experience the same problem over and over again. They lack that self-awareness.
And a lot of guys get caught in kind of analysis paralysis. What's my perfect plan or anything? And so you can't think your way into being a better version of yourself. You just have to act. You have to do stuff. And a lot of guys get scared. And I think that's one of the big differences between the kind of guys who become the speakers. These are the guys who are actually doing things as opposed to just theorizing or talking about them.
I think we're suffering from lack of father energy in our culture. Either fathers aren't there, or if they're there, they're weak. I was blessed to have a strong father. I didn't understand the power of having a strong father until I was much older.
I definitely recommend going to it. You're interacting with a whole bunch of great people. You get to interact with speakers.
I look forward to walking away from this event with tools, strategies, and steps for me to take going forward on how I can improve my own life, be it in fitness or with starting up my own business.
Talking to a lot of guys, I would see guys and like, so what did you think? They go, they did this, like their mind was blown kind of thing. And I thought, wow, good. That said it all.
This is awesome. And it was so positive, like you talked about, hope, optimism, positivity. Yeah. That was this event.
Got to be strong. To be a strong man is inside and out. And one of the speakers this weekend said so poetically and beautifully that if you're not strong, you're weak.
And we are live on the 92nd edition of the Redman Group. Welcome, one and all. I, of course, am your host and moderator, Donovan Sharp. We've got the phone lines open right now, 914-205-5356. Again, that is 914-205-5356. Today is going to be sort of a free-for-all, man. We're going to talk about the year in review, what happened in 2019, and this is going to be the last Redman Group of the decade. Moving forward, we're moving into the 2020s. Very exciting times ahead. But the Redman Group, of course, is brought to you by the 21 Convention Patriarchs Edition, as well as the 22 Convention. Both of those are going to be running concurrently with one another. If I'm not mistaken, Anthony, and correct me on the dates, I believe the 21 Convention Patriarchs Edition, I think it runs from, oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember this. I think it runs until, I think it might be May or April. So Anthony, do me a favor, clarify what the dates are for the 21 as well as the 22 convention.
Yeah, so 22 convention tickets, for starters, just went on sale last night for women, and that's at 22convention.com, 22convention.com. And the dates, so the events run concurrently, but the women's convention, the 22 convention, is 1 day shorter, kind of like Patriarchs was initially earlier this year. It's a new event and a little bit shorter at 3 days instead of 4 is easier for us to manage. So the dates are for the Patriarchs edition, the second annual Patriarch edition of 21Con. That is April 30th through May 3rd, 2020. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day, all night, basically. And that's April 30th through May 3rd, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the 22 convention is May 1st to May 3rd. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they'll be at the same city, same venue, same location. There'll be separate events, separate conference rooms, probably within 100 feet or whatever of each other. And ticketing is separate to each event, with the exception that it's separate ticketing to each like conference room, but really the whole thing is like a couples event, if you want it to be. So each ticket to each event comes with a +1. And if you're a woman and you want to bring a friend, you can go to 22 convention and bring a friend for free. If you're a man and a father attending Patriarch, you can bring a friend for free. Or for either event, you can send your spouse, your girlfriend, or whatever to the opposite event. So if you're a father attending Patriarch, you can send your woman to the 22 convention for free on your ticket to Patriarch. And the same is true in reverse. If a woman is attending the 22 convention, she can send her husband for free to Patriarch, basically just down the hall. The events will have a little bit of crossover. We might do one night where there's like a co-event, maybe like Sunday night. But other than that, yeah, exactly, right? But other than that, they're separate events. And in the evenings, I think people will get together on their own anyway.
Yeah.
But the events will be separate dinners, separate conferences, speeches, workshops. 22 convention, we're not doing any workshops as of right now to simplify the event and keep things manageable. But the Patriarchs edition will once again have the workshops, which are a fan favorite now, the attendees. We started doing those earlier this year at Patriarch, then we did them in Poland, and then again in Florida. And they're probably the best part of the event at this point because you get to work so closely with the speakers. I know, Donovan, you did a workshop both at Patriarch and later at the Florida event. In Florida, it was hot, man. People were laughing like crazy and having a wild time.
Yeah, I always enjoy doing those, man. Honestly, if I could do a podcast, if I could do a daily podcast in a room like a workshop, I'd do 5 of those a day, man. Because I can't think of anything more that I can't think of anything that's more fun, more helpful, more enjoyable. Things like that. Area code 417. I see you in the queue. We're going to get to you here in just 1 second. Guys, call the number 914-205-5356. We're talking about the year in review, how the Manosphere has changed, how the Manosphere has changed your life. We want to hear your stories, requests, suggestions, whatever. Trolls, if you want to call in, I'm more than happy to hang up on you and make fun of you and point and laugh and all that good stuff. We're here for the entertainment value. Before we get started, let us introduce today's esteemed panel. First up, of course, is the man, the myth, the legend, Steve "The Dean" Williams, who is sporting a Philadelphia Eagles hat because he lost a bet to me the other day. I think this is the final day of your sentence. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's this one, and I'm gonna do a Ryan with the Dean show today, and that'll be it.
And that'll be that. All right. Yeah, Steve is getting out. Steve's getting out on parole. Next up is, of course, Texas Dom, man. Tex, how's it going, man? It's been a while since I've seen you on the show.
Yeah, glad to be back, guys. Definitely glad to be here. Having a good time.
Very good. And of course, if you guys haven't figured it out already, judging by his hat and his name and his truck, Tex is, of course, from Texas. Not that
I'd like to point out that 50% of the show is coming from Texas. Just want to point that out.
Oh, hey, that's right. The Dean is in Texas as well. So we've got Texas, Florida, we've got Pennsylvania. So we're sort of the League of Nations here. Last and certainly not least, the founder and CEO of the 21 convention as well as 21 studios, Anthony Dream Johnson. Anthony, how's it going today, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Very excited to put that trailer out, the new tickets to the new event. A lot going on. Busy weekend.
Yeah, dude, that trailer was kick-ass, man. If that doesn't get you fired up for what's coming in 2020, I don't know what does. Now, let us seamlessly segue into. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what happened in 2019. That's going to be about the first half of the show. Then we're going to talk about what's to come in 2020. Before we do that, let's go ahead and go to the phone lines. Area code 417. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey there. It's good to finally be able to talk to some of you guys.
Absolutely.
I'm Dale from Missouri.
Okay.
I'm a Marine, currently active duty, and finishing out my year with a funeral, but also Christmas at home, which was a blessing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just want you guys to know that over the last, year or two, especially, some of the advice that has come from this panel and from George and Stefan, who I know you guys also work with, has just been instrumental in getting unstuck and starting to really move forward and improve my life.
Good.
Yeah, man.
We appreciate that, man. Before we let you go, what's been the single most pivotal, or I'll put it to you this way, what's the single most helpful piece of advice that you've gotten from the panel?
Honestly, it's probably just the pursue excellence, and excellence will pursue you. Because that combined with some of the things that y'all have kind of taught me to look for in women, I found a absolutely fantastic fiance. And I tell you what, I couldn't be happier. I'm getting married in August.
Damn. Look at this guy.
Wow, getting married in August. Holy shit, man. All right. Well, hey, listen, man. Just keep your wits about you. Hopefully you're going the private marriage route. Hopefully there's no paperwork involved with that. But hey, listen, he used red pill awareness. He's used advice from the panel to, I guess, snap up, I guess, what he defines as a quality woman. Hopefully he has all of his I's dotted and all of his T's crossed with regards to that. Let's go around the panel here and talk about that last call there. Tex, what are your thoughts on this guy? He's a Marine. Looks like he's going to have a wedding here pretty soon. He just had a funeral. What are your thoughts on guys like that who benefit from content like this?
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, Dale, if you're still listening, I think you are. Thanks for your service, man. We appreciate what you do, keeping us all the ability to get online and do this shit that we want to do. Yeah, I mean, you just got to watch out for the dependopotamus, right? I mean, that girl that marries into the military and, you know, she just sits on the couch all day. As long as you think you've got a winner, you just got to vet her real well. Does she have a work ethic? You know, hopefully you're right with the advice that you've gotten from these guys and others. I mean, you just have to go in this with your eyes wide open and know what the hell what you're getting into. It can be great, you know, but you know, it's all about vetting and choosing wisely. So, tip of the cap, and I wish you all luck.
Absolutely. Steve, what are your thoughts on what Tex just said? I think, in my opinion, I think the vetting process is the most important. It's the most important step when selecting a woman. So what are your thoughts on guys like Dale, who is like, hey, listen, I found a girl. I'm happy as hell. Going to get married. Obviously I would like to think that he's vetted her properly, but why do you think that men fail to vet women properly? Why do they not wait and do what's necessary?
Well, because a lot of men out there don't know the importance and significance of their last name and what it represents to them. So the fact that he's doing it, I again, his service, I appreciate his service coming from an Army guy, from the Army to him. But no, I just think that a lot of guys have no idea, no self-definition of who they are. So if you don't know who you are, you know, and again, it's your, you know, as a man, you have a choice if you want to get married or be single. That's the beauty of being a man. But at the end of the day, I can only respect his decision that he makes, but I just hope that he keeps listening to us and to those that are married, to those who are not married, and to help him navigate when he needs help, brother.
All right, Anthony, the vetting procedure. Listen, your stint with Medusa is certainly well documented.
Yeah.
And what we have to understand is that this doesn't guarantee anything, right? You can vet a woman thoroughly, but she can still get the jump on you.
Yep.
If you do know, Anthony, where did you go wrong when you misjudged Medusa, or was she BPD? Was she what do they call it, dark triad?
Yeah. So there's a couple issues I'd like to dig into with this. Number one, the caller, thank you for your service. Like Tex said, not only 100%, 1,000%. And I'm glad, Donovan, I'm glad you brought up the private marriage issue. So I was actually reading a book by Donald Trump the other day, one of his older ones from like 2007 or something like that. What is it? Think Big and Kick Ass or something like that. It's a great title, great book. And he actually talked about marriage and part of the beginning of the book. And it's not even about, the book is obviously not about marriage. It's about business and mindset and all these things that he does as Donald Trump. And he actually mentioned that you should always, always, always get a prenup. And now he's been through a couple of divorces and things like that. So that's not too surprising that he would say that. But really what he said was kind of profound. And I don't have a direct quote at the ready for it, but essentially, and I would say either prenup or private marriage are good options. I mean, the prenup would be at minimum. But his basis was that people marry for love, but the marriage certificate is not about love. And when the love ends, or if it ends, marriage certificates, marriage licenses given to you by the state and the government, they don't recognize love. They don't give a shit. And then once it's gone, it's gone. And what you have left is two people that do not get along and are going to duke it out in court. And as we know, this goes really nasty, very high amount of the time. And often then, of course, men are abused in the court system systematically. The courts are biased against us with child custody, alimony. 98% of alimony in the United States goes to women. 98%. Some of that's lifetime. Like in California, I think it's fucking nuts. It never ends. Literally ever till the day one of you fucking dies. So, Donald Trump's thing was always, always, always get a prenup. because it might last forever. Like my grandparents are married well over 50 years before they died. Or it might last a couple years, like in my case. And, you know, with personality disorders and things like that hide beneath the surface. And you mentioned vetting, and I actually did a podcast a couple years ago with Christian McQueen, one of our speakers in 2017. You know, it's a lot of you guys on the panel.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked me, and he was surprised at how long I had dated Medusa before we got married. And the answer to that question is 2.5 years. And most people say, oh, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years is the goal. And that's really not the case, because, well, it can be the case, but there's a level, and I've talked about this before, there's a continuum of effort and dedication that someone's going to have to fake things. And most women are not going to have the tenacity and the drive to fake it past 2 years, which is where that advice comes from. But the ones you have to really worry about, the ones you should be most worried about, are the ones with something wrong with their brain or their trauma or their childhood or whatever that motivate them to, you know, almost cartoon levels to fake things and to navigate different social and familial situations to actually get someone on the hook. And in my case, I was so philosophically dedicated to not bringing the government into my home and my family and my relationship that I kept that out. And thank God I did, because that marriage ended up blowing up in my face. But whether or not it would have blown up in my face, the idea of private marriage, I think, is even better than a prenup, which is keeping the government out of your life completely and deliberately not getting a marriage license at any point. And your family's aware of this before the fact, your friends, everybody, including the woman, obviously. So I don't know if I went off in too big of a tangent there, but I wish the best for this guy. I hope it turns out well. Obviously, you know, Hunter can maybe speak to it, but, you know, infidelity and for military men is huge. Them getting cheated on and stuff and all that. That's notorious throughout, I think, all branches of the military. So I'm kind of worried about that, but I wish the best for him and hope it goes well. Hope he gets a prenup or a private marriage.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay. All right. For whatever reason, I couldn't hear myself. I like to hear myself talk. Yeah, Hunter, kick to you. What are your thoughts on private marriage, right? Because again, this guy's a Marine. He's happily engaged, but we all know what military wives get up to when their husbands are deployed or when their husbands are active duty. I'm a product of that. When my dad was active duty, Army and Air Force, my dad used to go TDY to Tokyo and all these other kind of countries. And my mom is sleeping around, right? So what are your thoughts on a private marriage with regards to the way things are today? You don't have a private marriage. The state of, I don't know, what do you live on, like Israel or somewhere like that? The state is involved in your marriage, but what would you advise guys to do if they really absolutely wanted to get married?
So I've passed it a few times. Mine was the normal route. You know, I got married young and I got married before any of this was a thing, you know, so there was no red pill. There was nobody guiding me on the ways of the land for men, you know, so I was very plugged in, very, you know, following the path that I'd seen laid out for others. So you get married in the church, you sign your certificate, you know, she takes your name, happy-go-lucky, white picket fence, let's go. Nowadays, you know, armed with the knowledge we have and the environment we're living in, you know, private, it just makes sense to me to just do your own thing. You know, there's no need to sign the state contract, but I don't think it matters. You know, at the end of the day, you're linking up with this lady and the state will get its piece of the pie. I think Anthony made out. I do think, you know, going his route helped, but are we looking at making the marriage last? Are we looking to make sure that when it breaks down, you get the most, you know, for yourself? You don't get as damaged. So it depends on what we're really trying to figure out here. The best way to ensure you aren't as damaged, yeah, go private. But the best way to make it so it doesn't break down in the first place, you know, you've got to go. But this goes back to vetting. This goes back to the original point of what do we see in 2019 and what do we see more of in 2020? You know, I think we're going to see more men trying to figure out, how do I have the family? How do I properly do this to where it's not blown up? Because you're right, men in the military, dude, you're in an environment where you're gone all the time. And then the other dudes around there, they're not schmucks. I mean, everybody has their groups of just total shitbags.
Yeah.
But there's pretty motivated men who are in shape, who are doing their thing, who are single, they don't give a fuck. They're Mr. Chad. And your wife is around that while you're gone all the time.
All the time, yeah.
So there's a reason I left the Navy. It was not conducive to family life. And I know there's a lot of men who do their 20 years and they were able to keep it together. I wasn't able to do that. So in my opinion, I don't think it really can be done. I think you don't know your kids unless you're one of the guys who is on land 24/7, maybe the Air Force. I have no idea. But for the Navy, you're always gone, like nonstop. You're either training somewhere or you're going to school for something or you're deployed. So that's the lifestyle.
Yeah. So what I'm getting from you, just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that if you are in the military, if you're a young man in the military and you want to start a family, you're advising men to wait until you get out of the military to start a family, because being gone all the time and the culture, what it is, your wife is in an environment that is conducive to infidelity.
Or time it properly.
Okay.
So I knew I did 5 years in the ship. My kids, I had my son and he was maybe 3, and then I went to shore duty where I was home 24/7.
Okay.
There was no schooling. So I made sure, all right, I deployed these 5 years. Now I'm going to get my 3. I'm going to get mine from the Navy. And then I'm going to be home all the time. I'm going to have my family do that. But then I'm out, because I knew another 5 years on the ship, I'm not going to know my kids. I'm not going to know what's going on with them. I'm not going to know what's going on with the wife.
Yeah. And Hunter, if I can follow up with the private marriage thing, I think it's a lot more important to, choose the right woman, be the right man in the first place so that things work out and don't blow up in your face or anyone's face. However, I also look at Sean Smith, one of our speakers and the psychologist who's been on the show and stuff. And he talks a lot about risk management, and he's written books on this and talked about it pretty extensively. And for me, that's what, good prenups that you have in states where they're honored and you have an attorney review it, extensively, or you just go the private marriage route and you just say, fuck the state completely. These are risk management tools.
Yeah, that's my advice is both. Proper vetting with the private marriage.
Yeah,
that's the blueprint I give guys when they ask me how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not anti-marriage or anti-family at all. I'm very pro those things, but I also recognize, we both do how dangerous that shit is today.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you do a prenup today instead of a private marriage, but in both cases, at least you're doing something productive for your life and protective. And so yeah, it's risk management. And I hope this guy that called in doesn't get legally married unless he has like a super tight prenup.
I wanted to congratulate him and say, hey, listen, man, good for you. Yeah. I'm happy for you, but I didn't want to. I don't know. I guess I should have done like Steve and punched him in the chest. I didn't want to piss on his parade, but
yeah, exactly. I felt the same way.
Yeah, but by the same token, as men, we got to be smart about this, man.
Yep.
We understand that women are opportunistic creatures, and listen, man, there are groups of women out here who attempt to prey on military men. Get married to a military guy, because a woman knows that if she gets married to a military guy, they're pretty much going to be taken care of for the rest of their lives. They've got the benefits. They get they get to travel the world. They get to, a military sponsored healthcare, food. It's a great life. I lived that life as a kid. That's very tempting and enticing to women. So hopefully the guy who called in, the Marine, knows and understands that she's marrying him for what he is. Just understand that when you leave the Marines, man, that dynamic may change. It's all fine and dandy now. I don't know you. I don't know what your woman is like, but just make sure you're vetting her to the point to where she knows who and what you are. Make sure you're the same guy when you get out of the Marines as you were when you were in the Marines. And I would definitely explore maybe the concept of private marriage.
Yeah, and if I can, add a final comment on it, like I said with the Donald Trump quote, the minute that there's a serious dispute and the love is dead or whatever the fuck's going on, the government does not give a shit about the fact that you guys used to be in love and you thought you vetted her and all these things, assuming that happens, and it does happen plenty, good amount of the time. So yeah, it's a very serious contract. And that's really what Donald Trump was getting at in his book discussing prenups and marriage, is that marriage is a fucking very serious legal contract. It's a business contract. And it does not give a shit about love. It doesn't give a shit about feelings, her feelings, your feelings, anyone's feelings. So it's a serious business contract with serious consequences, and there's systemic irrational bias against you as a man. The fact that you have an XY, DNA set and a pair of balls and a dick puts you in bad footing for this contract. And that's why so many men get fucked over in court over and over and over and over again. And until there's massive fundamental change throughout the United States in the legal system, then you're in bad footing. And that's why private marriage is so important, or at least a prenup.
You know what? Actually, I would caution strongly against even getting a prenup. I think, Anthony, private marriage is the only way to go. If you absolutely listen, if you want to be able to wear a ring and call a woman your wife and have a family, you cannot have the state involved, because now, dude, more and more nowadays, prenups are not worth the paper they're printed on. Dude, judge after judge, especially in family court, the gynocentric, the biased family courts, they throw out prenups like they're throwing out agreements for car rentals, car registration, stuff like that. So if you guys think that having a prenuptial agreement signed protects you from the long arm of the gynocentric laws. Trust me, man, you got another thing coming.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with kids either. Like,
No.
you can't stipulate
Nope.
what happens with kids. It's
Nope.
only for assets and stuff like that. I'd say it's better than nothing, but obviously I didn't go that route. That wasn't good enough for me. And that was separate. I thought, Medusa was a great woman. Obviously, I married her, or had a wedding at least. So, yeah, I mean, you can vet all you want and you can think you did well. You're always going to be biased. The minute your feelings are involved and your dick's hard and you're the one fucking this chick, you're biased.
Yes.
Like, you do not have a good objective view of who this woman is, especially when you're thinking like so long term at that point. I mean, that guy called in, like, good for him. I hope it goes well, but he's planning intentionally to spend several decades of his life with this woman, and he's fucking her. I mean, he is compromised emotionally and biased and all these things. So I hope also that he has people and men around him who can also contribute to this effort and give him an honest opinion, some blunt feedback about what they think. Hopefully positive, but if it's not, he needs to hear that too.
My son's 29 years old, and I have to think about this all the time with him, because he's looking to settle down at some point, find the right woman, have some kids, and start a family. And that's an admirable goal. If that's what your goal is, God bless, right? If your goal is to spin plates and just go chase the skirt until you're 50, go for it. We don't care. But it's such a shark infested, waters, for anybody to have to swim through, man. And just to avoid the batshit crazy, number one, but then number two, to have to factor in the legal system and everything else that's going to come, or potentially going to come. But I don't know, man. Luckily for me, my son's red pilled enough to have his eyes wide open, and I think as a parent, that's all I can do to help him, is to make sure he understands what his options are and understands the pros and the cons here. And I'm lucky in that regard. That's why I'll say the other young men that are watching this episode, the same thing. Just know what you're getting into, and if it all goes tits up, you got nobody to blame but yourself at that point, and just kind of pick up the pieces and move on.
Big thanks goes out to M. Dale Gann with the $2 super chat. He says he's still here. Call back in if you'd like. That way we can get a little bit more information on what's going on there. Chief Rocca with the $5 super chat. Pardon me. Says peace, Donovan, and shout out to the panel and the chat. So there's actually a guy in here. So Matt Prim says he's had dozens of opportunities to be the bad guy, was always the good guy, and never cheated. My wife is a raging feminist, by the way, he says. Then he says, my wife hit the wall 15 years ago. So Sharp Assist asks him, he says, Matt, what's your point? Do you want a monogamy Medal of Honor? Apparently this guy does. Now, this of course is all very tongue in cheek, but guys like Matt, who sort of, they believe that they deserve a Medal of Honor for refraining from cheating on their feminist wives who have hit the wall 15 years ago. Hunter, what are your thoughts on that? Like, does this guy deserve a medal? I mean, is there no shame in monogamy? Like, what do we say to guys like this who basically want to fish for not having cheated on their wives?
It blows my mind how often men come with this angle. Well, I'm a good man because I stuck it through for 20 years without having sex once with my wife. No, you're not.
Oh my God.
You're not a good man. You're just existing. You're just there. And it's a shame when you see this going on so frequently. This guy, I could have cheated, but I didn't. Okay. So what? That's a decision you made. There's no points for that. And if you did, and you decided you didn't find out, cool. So what? There's no point system here. Is your life what you want it to be? Yes or no? At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. Are you happy? Why would you say my wife hit the wall 15 years ago and she's a raging feminist? It sounds like you hate this bitch. It sounds like that's your wife, but you're talking shit. I would not put that up there about my wife. I would be like, hey, why the if Jackie was a raging feminist, this would be all done. And I wouldn't be bragging on some chat online about, hey, I stuck with her. I'm a good man, guys. I'm a red pill bro, right? Am I RMG?
Hold on. Matt Prim says he's being sarcastic. Okay, so if you're going to be sarcastic, then I got to put you in timeout. Come on.
Text does not convey tone.
You're killing me. You're absolutely right. Lamar Kickdrop says, women got y'all tripping. Panels with microphones. Everybody radio talk show hostess now coming out with books. This is crazy. My nigga, you need to learn you need to put down the ebonics. Like, quit talking like you're in the hood, bruh. Like that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. You got capitals and punctuation marks everywhere. Listen, I'll give you another opportunity not to sound like a hood nigga, but come on, bruh. Like you really need to come stronger with that. Chief Rocka with the $5 super chat says, Matt, monogamy metal, treat yourself to a better, I don't know what that is. Am I behind here? Like
I don't know what that is either.
All right. Well, anyway, let's go back to the phone lines. We've got the Marine back on the line here at 517. Have you got us?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, brother? How you doing? So you wanted to add to what you were talking about a little bit earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as far as like even approaching marriage at all, been taking some advice from, some of the married guys in the group, as far as like making sure that there's shared values, shared goals. And a big part of that is that we do have shared faith. So like sex hasn't been a factor playing into getting into things, but we have talked about, sexual expectations and all that as part of our premarital counseling, which is something that I personally recommend because it helps guys filter out women that,
Wait,
have some crazy
your
stuff
name,
going
hold on
on.
a second. Your name is Matt, right?
No, Dale.
Listen, man, I don't want to
Yeah, from earlier.
listen, I don't want to piss on your parade. I really don't. I promise I'm happy for you because I believe that a man who has a significant other in his life is living a better life than a guy who's a player. The player life is great, but it's much more fulfilling to be in a relationship of consequence with a woman that you love. However, I'm seeing some missteps early on here. Number one, why the fuck do you need to go to premarital counseling? Like,
wait a second. I'm not. If he's super Christian and she is too, I'm not opposed to that, and I can't speak too well to that. But I'd be concerned about who the counselor is. Totally. But
yeah, but the premarital counseling, was that a Christian thing, Dale?
Yes, it's something that was encouraged by our ministry leaders and by her dad, and it's something that we thought was a good idea because it helps us kind of go through some like personality comparison tests. And the counselor, who is one of our pastors, has just been helping us ask each other questions that we might not have thought of to help us better determine compatibility.
Okay, I understand that. Listen, I understand that, and those are all good things. I like the fact that her father recommended it because that says that she has a good relationship with her father. But I'm here to tell you, compatibility tests and all this other unanswered, no, that to me, and again, I'm not trying to shit on your religion, but we're gonna have to understand here is that all of that psychobabble, that's not necessary. What it comes down to, and it's a lot easier said than done, but I want you to really understand what I'm saying here. As long as you put your foot down and as long as you are the leader of your relationship, then your wife is going to love and respect you. And, dude, I've had plenty of relationships. My own relationship with Devin, we are two very different people. We are not like we are opposite ends of the spectrum. We have almost nothing in common with one another on many, many different levels. But I didn't need a counselor to tell me whether or not we were compatible. You listen, you want to know what you want to know how I know a woman is compatible with me is if she follows orders well. That's the way I see it. And I'm not trying to be meathead red pill guy. I just want you to be very careful about letting the minutia, all of this head stuff sort of outthinking the room sort of enter into your marriage. If your wife loves and respects you, then she's going to follow your lead. That's the way that goes. Now, Anthony, you said that you weren't opposed to this premarital counseling.
Yeah.
The religion thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'll play devil's advocate here with you, Donovan. And like I was saying earlier, like I'm not completely opposed to that. So there is a concern, first of all, that the counselor will be like very blue pill. Unlike Ken Curry, unlike Sean Smith, unlike Dr. Robert Glover, all these other guys that we know. However, what I'm looking at, and I think what Hunter sees too on this, is the bigger picture. So first of all, the fact that her father recommended it or wanted it or demanded it for his daughter, that's a very good sign.
Yes.
She's used to having a male authority figure in her life. Obviously, dad's present and has concerns, which are positive in this case. This guy wants to marry his daughter and probably put a bunch of babies in her. So that's a good sign. So what I'm looking at is the acta non verba angle to blow some smoke in Hunter's direction a little bit there and positively. It's the bigger picture. It's the actions. So the specifics of it, the compatibility test, personality crap, I don't support that either. I think it's kind of useless. but it doesn't matter. It's like, ignore the words and watch the actions.
Right.
The actions of the father, the actions of the daughter, the actions of this guy. These are actually very much in the right direction, even if they're not superficially compatible with red pill thinking, red pill meathead type stuff. So I know we're not hugely in favor of like things like premarital counseling and all that, but I'm looking at the bigger picture, the physical actions of what they're doing, and it sounds pretty good, actually. I would still be very wary of getting the government involved in your family, in your relationship, and in your life.
Yes.
I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Christians should even be in favor of that. Like, why do you need the government involved in your life? I don't think God cares about what the state of whatever, thinks of your marriage. What matters is what's between you and your faith and your church and all that, and you and the woman. So the government is a huge impediment to that, and will screw that up the first chance they get.
Before I kick this over to Hunter, let me ask you a couple of really sort of poignant questions here, Dale. How old are you and how old is she? That's the very first question. The second question is this premarital counseling, is this done by a man or a woman or both?
All right. So I'm 23, she's 22. And as far as the premarital counseling, let me just first say it's not how we're determining if we should be together. It's just
so there's a woman. So there's a woman involved. Is that what you're telling us?
Might be an issue later.
Right. So there's a woman involved in.
And yeah, no, it's one guy. It is a pastor, and it is based on like a biblical worldview, including traditional roles of the masculine leadership and the feminine support and submission.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, listen. So far, so good.
Actually, one of the big encouraging factors to me about her is that right from the get-go, she was open to and receptive to my leadership, my authority. And then, as well as that,
does she have any sisters?
A person, she's less likely to divorce.
Okay. Okay. Again, this is just sort of a warning here before I kick this over to Hunter. And this is exactly what Anthony just says. It's acta non verba. Actions speak louder than words. Just because a woman says that she respects your authority doesn't necessarily mean that she does. Okay. Listen, you've got a lot going for you here. You have a young woman who has a strong relationship with her father. She's involved with the religious community. Listen, if and when I were ever to call myself getting married, I'd rather marry a young religious girl than an older secular worldly girl. So I mean, if I had to pick one or the other, but again, be very, very careful. What you're going to have to understand here, Dale, is that women are never chemically identical from one day to the next, my friend. You're going to have to get this through your skull. Dude, your wife is going to love you one day. She'll hate you the next. The next day, she'll want to have 80 of your kids. The day after that, she's going to want to jam your eyeballs with an ice pick, right? So we want you to what the hell is that?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Sorry, I'm in an airport terminal.
Okay. All right. Very good. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this premarital counseling with Dale here?
I really like this live aspect. This is getting like real one-on-one with some dudes who have been through different aspects of life. So this is pretty cool. Dale, I hope you're taking notes. Listen, as far as the counseling, I didn't do that, but whatever. If that's supplemental to what it is you're doing, if that's a supplemental aspect, go for it. Like whatever. You sit there, spend some time, talk about things. If I go to a financial planner, I might know 90% of what they're saying, but that 10% might really help me with my finances. So cool. Pay attention. Maybe they do ask you a question to ask her or figure out, do your thing. What really matters is the type of relationship she has with her father, the history of relationships prior to you, and what happens in the day to day. We talk about, deeds, not words. Does she listen? Is she complimentary to you? You talk about things. You're like, hey, do you want kids? Yeah, I want kids. Cool. Let's check that box. We're having babies. You've got to supplant the role of dad. So when you get married, she understands that she doesn't run to dad anymore. Now she runs to you.
Ooh,
is that something she's ready for? When she comes to your clan, she takes your name. Understand that she's now on your mission. And are you understanding at the same? I don't know if you guys met on Plenty of Fish. I don't know if you met at a bar. I don't know how you met or how long you've been dating. But I will say this: that also plays into it because you might not have seen all aspects of her. How long have you been together?
We've been together for just a couple of months.
But how many months? 1, 6, 9?
Recommend against.
Yeah, listen. No. Hold on. Wait. Caller. Just
let's let him talk, man.
No. Hold on. No, I want to understand this because what and I want you to really understand what we're saying here. This is exactly why we say you have to vet these girls, right? You're a young man. You don't know anything about women. You're about to be in the military. You're marrying this young, pretty girl. You've been with her for a couple of months. You gotta be, you really have to be so careful. How did you meet her?
I met her at a ministry that her parents are missionaries for, which ministers to military guys by providing a home away from home. I had actually been going to their home for a while before I met her. So I was familiar with the family and kind of how they were. And from the get-go, she has known that I was getting out and heading in a ministry direction, which is what she's already been doing. So I'm not worried about her like being a dependa or anything like that.
When you say you're getting out, will she have to go through a deployment before you leave the service?
I am currently on deployment. I was only home on emergency leave because my father died.
Holy shit.
You're in Okinawa, so you're stationed in Okinawa. Will you be deployed from Okinawa anywhere else, or are they viewing that station as being deployed?
No, that is the deployment. I'm a 2-3 Marine, Hawaii.
Roger. All right. Okay. Now, why the rush for marriage?
What's that?
Why are you getting married now? I view 1 year to be the absolute minimum. I dated my wife for 5, and I made her go through a deployment to understand what that life was like. But 1 year to me is the minimum. That way you get all the holidays, all the things, life, death, birth, whatever. You still didn't answer how many months you've been together.
Yeah, it's been like 3.5, 4. And we're not looking at getting married until after the deployment is done and after I'm out.
And how long is that?
That's going to be come August.
Oh yeah.
How long until you're actually with her full time?
I will be getting back I can't say specifically over this line. Sorry.
No, I understand.
No,
And I want you to,
OPSEC is a real thing.
listen, I want you to understand, Dale. We're not trying to discourage you from this. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make you aware of the potential pitfalls, because so many men like yourself, so many young men like yourself think to themselves, and don't get us wrong, man, it would appear that you have the genuine article. She's young, strong father. She's in the ministry. You met her. Listen, it's better to meet her in the ministry than on Plenty of Fish. It sounds like she's hitting all of the marks, but there are some big time concerns. So now I'm going to bring in the left hook. Steve, what are your thoughts? What are things that you need to warn Dale here about, if anything at all?
I'm not only going to warn Dale, I'm going to warn people in the chat room. See, what y'all guys don't understand is that guys like Dale, and I appreciate what you're doing, Dale, but if I was your dad, not only would I punch you in your chest, but I might be on the road of disowning you as a son, because this behavior, because y'all don't understand, church girls are no, Dale, please, no offense to your girl, but church girls are the whores of the whores, man. Y'all don't know about church girls. Church girls are the pastor's daughter. Oh my God. All right, listen, what I want to say this is that because a lot of you guys, again, are gullible, disillusioned, and naive, you guys think that just because she blinks her eyes, tilts her head to the left, and says, "Oh, I'm a good girl," that she's a good girl. The problem is that Dale, you're 23. You haven't had orgies, threes. Well, I guess you're in the church, so. But this chat room guys, you haven't lived. You haven't lived. You haven't dated enough women to see if she's even the right woman for you. You're 23 years young. This is the time that you go out and get your responsibilities together. This is the time you go out to find yourself. The problem with a lot of you guys in the chat room as well, y'all talk a big game on the internet, but as soon as a woman gets around, y'all cupcake and stuff like this. This is the problem. A lot of women, I keep telling y'all, when they smell easy, thirsty, and weak, they are going to go on the attack and they're going to lock you down. 2 months, man. If you were I'm glad you're not my son, because if you were my son, we would have to have a powwow, as I would not show up at that wedding. Number one. Number two is, again, I understand your Christian values and all this other stuff, but I am a man. I am a man. I don't need anybody to tell me what I need to do. I don't need to sit in front of somebody to tell me. Now, again, I know that's your religion, but I'm saying that for all you other guys out there, this is y'all's problem. Y'all have no sense of self. You don't know who you are. And if you're going to allow somebody else to dictate and navigate your life, then you're going to get what you get. So I'm just saying for you, young man, I would rethink this. Like Hunter was telling you, man, you only known her for 2 months. You don't even, she probably doesn't even fart in front of you yet. I mean, there's so many things that you know that hold back from you. No, I'm just being fun. I'm serious. You don't know her until you have lived with her, and you don't know her until you've known her for way past a year minimum, like Hunter was saying. This is why y'all get mad at the court systems and all that other stuff, because a lot of you guys don't have a sense of self. When you have a sense of self, you ain't gonna have those problems. Why? Because if I'm above all things, then guess what? She's gone, and I'm gonna move on. Stop putting your emotions in this. Like I tell you, stop falling in love, fall into respect, and own that stuff, man. That's all I want to say. I think I thought he was punking us for a second, telling us this stuff, man.
Well, let me ask you this, Dale. This was actually a question that Hunter asked. Why are you in a rush to get married? You're only 23.
Oh, yeah. Well, so honestly, as far as the specific timing, it's kind of got to do with me getting out and just the logistics of all of it, with her family being over here and my family being on the mainland. But as far as doing it sooner rather than later, I was the one who was more skeptical at the beginning, and really insisted on talking through serious stuff about expectations and needs and all that. And there just came a point where the head and the heart kind of came together, and I started seeing that it looked like this was headed in the right direction. And we both had such similar goals and direction in our life.
Okay.
And that we were so drawn to each other, in what I would say is a spiritual way as well, that when your head, your heart, and your spirit are all in the same place, I generally think that's like a good sign that you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, again, listen, no shade on you, but that's a bunch of psychobabble. When your head, your heart, and your spirit, that doesn't mean anything to me. Let me ask you some very difficult questions. How many girls have you slept with? How many guys has she slept with?
How many have I been with?
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's been 7.
And
that
her?
I can remember off the top of my head.
Hey, that's actually average for the average American male, by the way, over a lifetime.
Hang on, say that again.
I'm not going to throw that out there out of respect for her.
Well, here's the thing: you can't, because you don't know. Is she a virgin? Yes or no?
I'm not going to throw that out there, but I do know. We have talked about her past as much as we have talked about mine, and we've been very open with each other, including some difficult conversations.
Okay. I just want you to understand, and again, listen, congratulations, because the girl that appears to be the woman you're marrying, she has a lot of traits and qualities that most women do not have. I just want you to understand, do not sleepwalk through this relationship in the beginning, the middle, hopefully not the end. Okay. Because again, you're talking to men here. We're natural skeptics of women. Okay. Number one, you're very, very young. When I was 23, I didn't know dick. Dude, I didn't know dick about my own dick, let alone women. Right. Right. Number two, one thing that I absolutely do know is that however many men a woman tells you she slept with, it's never the truth. There is always more. But that leads me to number 3. Do not ask her how many men she slept with, because number one, she's never going to tell you the truth. Number 2, you're never going to be okay with the number, right? So don't have those difficult conversations, because a girl could tell you, well, I've only slept with 7 guys, but then her behavior within the marriage would lead you to believe that she has had sex with far more than just 7 guys. And this is, again, what Hunter is pointing to. Acta non verba, actions speak louder than words. A girl can tell you anything she wants. It's the way she acts that clues you in on what she's really about.
I wanted to jump in on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So going back to the actions, I'm glad you said that. Dale, I'm going to be the total opposite spectrum from Dean. You know, I've not had orgies or threesomes. So I'm the guy, I was married at 21 and I was a father at 22. So I'm in that young crowd. But understand this, you're talking a lot about discussing serious things with her, but you haven't experienced serious things with her. And that's a huge difference. You can talk all day about what will we do if there's a fight. No, wait until you guys throw down. You know, why do you need to go and proclaim a life commitment together in front of your community in 3 months? Why can't you just act married? Why can't you just start living that life? You know, why does it have to be we're getting married on this day because our families are local and it's convenient? You're dedicating your life to a woman for the rest of your days. That's what you're doing. That's not something you rush. Now, you can discuss all day finances, leadership, goals, lifestyle, but you haven't lived any of that yet. And that's the biggest problem I'm seeing here. I don't care if you go to counseling. I don't care if you get married young. I don't care what you're doing here. Like, let the other guys get on that one. Here's what's bothering me about this. You've not lived through experiences with this girl. You guys have had, what, 4 holidays together? What about, you know, Valentine's Day when she flips out because you didn't buy this or you did buy this? Oh, shit. You never saw that side of her before. Of course you didn't, because you talked about it. You didn't live it. When I say actions, not words, you literally have to live these things. These are experiences you go through with your woman for at least a year. And the reason I give a year is because that covers every day of the year. So you've seen her on at least once every single day. You know, it should be beyond that, but at least a year. That's ridiculous that you're trying to rush this because it's convenient. Like, pretend you're married. Give her a fucking ring. You know, do your thing and just act like you're married. But don't sign anything. Don't go into it, you know, dedicating it before God. Because like, oh shit, 6 months later, this sucks.
I want to tag on to what Hunter's saying real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is a Sean Smith thing. So, The Tactical Guide to Women by Dr. Sean T. Smith. Great book. You pick it up on Amazon. And he talks a lot about like what Hunter's saying here, right? Taking your time. And so for this caller, I would say this: you lose nothing by slowing down. Absolutely nothing. You risk basically nothing. You lose nothing by slowing down. Slow down, like Hunter's saying. Spend a lot more time with her, more months, more years, all that stuff. Go through the seasons, go through the days of the year. Slow the fuck down. I don't think you also should watch her in that time too. If she tries to speed things up when you try to slow things down, that's a bad sign. Look for things that are counter to what you want to do or decisions you're making. And that could be overt or it could be covert and indirect too. But anyway, slow down, you lose nothing by that, and you gain potentially a huge amount. So it's a very low risk decision with a very high potential output for you.
Okay, fair enough. Last question here for you, Dale. Chief Rocca with a $5 super chat. He says, think about life after the Marine Corps. What about cashing in your 9/11 GI Bill, working, obtaining resources? So that leads me to this question. Have you thought about your contingency plan? What if this doesn't work? What if you guys get divorced?
Yeah, so as of right now, the plan is to use my GI Bill to go to Montana Bible up in Montana and to pursue a degree probably in outdoor ministry, which is just the most badass side of ministry there is. And then if things don't work out, I do have a high clearance from some of the stuff I've done in the Marine Corps. George could probably fill you guys in later because I've talked with him a bit more. But that allows me to have some extremely lucrative job opportunities. Honestly, ministry is the least lucrative job opportunity I have, but it is the one that I feel the strongest call to.
So why does it change though? If you get divorced, you can't be a part of ministry. Even if you have TS/SCI clearance, you know, you're not going to walk into something else that sucks. Why would you not stay with the job because you're divorced?
And I'm just saying that if the school doesn't work out or whatever else, then I can do that. And if I end up separated, which, you know, neither of us is a believer in that. But if for some crazy reason it came to that, then I would be able to do just fine on my own. I could continue in ministry.
Okay.
And I've got several backup plans for how to support myself, as well as to support a family if we get one started, if ministry isn't paying well enough.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can ask too, caller, what is the purpose of actually marrying her? Are you intending to create children, have a family? Is that the actual purpose to doing this explicitly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. To raise a family together. And like, I see where y'all are coming from. Some of you that talk about like living together before. getting married. Obviously, that's because of religious reasons. That's not an option for us.
Well, let me say too, actually, as Sean Smith has pointed out, the Tactical Guide to Women, living together before you get married actually increases your chance of divorce, doesn't decrease them. So actually, you're making the right call statistically following your religious faith on that. Living together before you get married is actually a bad idea.
Well, I certainly didn't know that. Let me ask you. Let me ask you. I keep saying one last question for Dale because this is fascinating to me. Is your how can I put this? Is your church infested by feminism? Like, who are the leaders of the church? Because if we know anything about Western religion, it has been infiltrated by feminism. And so if you're getting counseling from a church that has been infiltrated by feminism, they're going to tell you things like happy wife, happy life. You should respect her simply because she is your wife, right? You should treat her like you should treat her like a queen because you have made a promise between her and God and her father and this and that and the third. Yeah. So what is your
none of that?
Okay,
Good. So none of that at all.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, listen, man.
Yeah. The guidance we've been getting from our ministers has been very much in the line of traditional roles, respect being earned, and making sure that we treat each other with respect, not just because it's happy spouse, happy house, which they stress it's not just about the wife, it's about both people loving and supporting and respecting each other with that male headship as a centerpiece of what makes a good marriage.
What is your plan? What is your plan for being the leader of your relationship? What is your plan for keeping and maintaining your value? Listen, I guess what I'm really asking here is how are you going to make sure your wife wants to fuck you and only you? If we're really getting down to the nitty gritty here.
Okay, well, we're both very active people, so staying physically fit is obviously going to help in that area. But as far as like making sure that she sees me as the alpha dog and everything else, part of that is honestly we've been looking at some of Texas Dom's stuff, and
nice.
It's got a feel to us. So it's something that we have talked about in our discussions of expectations for the bedroom in the future, but also in general practice. And we've already started instituting some honorifics and learned behaviors.
Okay, very good. So I just want to make sure you understand that just because she says it doesn't make it true. I want you to understand that your soon-to-be wife can tell you anything, but we really want to stress. We cannot stress this to you more. Do not let her get away with not upholding her end of the bargain. Don't let her get away with treating you with disrespect, right? Again, anybody can say anything, but actions speak louder than words. Thanks for calling in, Dale. We wish you the best of luck.
I want to ask you a quick question.
I already let him go.
Okay. Here's the thing I want to know, because this is why I keep. Y'all don't know what a mark is, man. A lot of y'all in the chat, not in the group, y'all don't know what a mark is in the game these women run on y'all, unsuspecting, thirsty, needy guys. I want to know what he's going to do when she challenges him and doesn't do what he says.
That's what I'm saying. They haven't done that yet. That's the problem.
Like a lot of negotiations, guys. Well, we've discussed it. You don't have to discuss shit. If she steps out of line, you put her back in line. That's
not. He's going.
I mean, look, this sounds like to me like he's watched and he's familiar with some of her content, which is good. So the fact that he's calling the show is actually a really good sign.
That's good, man. That's
He is kind of winging it, I think, on a lot of this crap way too fast, and hopefully he learned a lot from the show to slow the fuck down. But it might work out, man. This might actually work out really well. And this dude has 8 kids. Or might blow up in his face and she's a hooker. Like,
hey, that's the thing. And I think I speak for all of us when I say we're hard because we care.
Yeah.
We're willing to take on the role of the asshole because we want him to do, like, all of us want that to succeed. I hope she's that perfect, like, that unicorn, that special thing.
Every guy who's engaged should call into the show and get a beating like this. And that was not even that hard. Like, they need to hear this kind of stuff, though. These kind of challenging questions. And he did good, though, trying to answer these, too. Like, he didn't hang up. He didn't get mad. He was responding as best he could, I think, with some limitations.
So, B. Candy,
I'm 50-50 on this, man. I think it might work. It might not.
Listen, I agree with this. B. Candy says he's not red pill. Y'all know it. No, he's not a red pill guy. But I'm going to tell you what. If he is not red pill now, he will be when and if the end of that relationship ever gets here. Best of luck to you, Dale. You're a young kid. Hopefully this works out for you. Listen, if I'm being honest, he's starting out with a better, he's in a better starting place than most men as far as the girl is concerned. If he were maybe 10 or 15 years older, yeah. Like, dude, if he's experienced, if he's traveled, if he's banged 50 some odd women, if he's done this and that, and he's like, listen, man, found a church girl, strong relationship with her father. I'm 38, she's 22, she wants a family, she defers to my authority. I know what's what. Hey, more power to you. Just keep the state out of it. I'm very concerned about the fact that he's only 23.
Yeah. There's a couple issues like that, like the speed of it, his age. He's still really young. He is older than her by a year, but that's not that much. That's better than nothing, though. Hey, we got some new guys.
Yeah,
oh shit! I gotta shift gears. We got Phil.
Yeah, man. So George and Phil. Let me get George's opinion on this first. George, always looking dapper, man, dude. I swear to God, dude, if I could be someone when I'm his age, it's absolutely George. I swear to God, George he's the coolest dude. What are your thoughts on the and 520 and 515? We're gonna get to you guys in just a second in the phone lines. What are your thoughts on this 23-year-old kid about to get married?
Yeah, it's interesting. I personally know Dale. He is not only he's a client. I have cut his hair and shaved him and all that good stuff.
Excellent.
And last year when I got into fountain pens, I went to Washington, D.C. and went to the pen show there. And I just put a little shout out to my crew and said, hey, after the pen show at Baltimore, DC, at the pen show, I'm going to do a little meetup. Dale showed up and was part of that meetup. So it was kind of like where the rubber hits the road, where you kind of meet your followers. They're more than just an avatar or a comment. And it was really cool. And I had a table full of men that had been following me for a while. And since then, Dale and I have gone back and forth. And at that time, I believe he was security at Camp David, protecting Camp David. And so he knows security, protocol quite well. USMC, my dad was a Marine. So I kind of get all that. And he's a sharp guy. And he's got a hand, like the tightest, strongest handshake I've ever felt in my life. The dude is solid as shit. Okay. So solid guy, literally hard as a rock. Solid dude, great posture. And we've kept the relationship going as far like the friendship with texting and so forth. And he's confided in me in many ways. And it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool. I was happy when he met his girl. When he got engaged, let me put it this way. Dale, if it was just you and I talking, this is what I would say to you. I wish I had a panel like this to talk to 30 years ago. No one did that. Back then, when you got engaged, everyone said, "Oh, congratulations, great job, good for you." When is the wedding and all that. And I didn't have anyone give me reality checks. And reality checks are on a continuum. There is the on one side of the spectrum are guys that say, "Don't do it. Your life is over with." On the other side of the continuum are the guys that are saying, "Congratulations," and what kind of ring did you get her, and where are you going on your honeymoon? Notice you didn't hear any of that today. You heard men who cared about you, and I'm glad I kind of tuned in towards the end of it, because I'm somewhere in the middle of all these guys and all of their opinions, and I think there's no opinion that was voiced today that is unreasonable. I think they all exist on the reality-based spectrum. I would say every opinion that you heard today is based because, Dale, I know these men like I know you, and I know their lives. I've shared stages with them. I've been on broadcast with them. I know their wives, their girlfriends, the women in their lives. I've, broken bread with these guys. And I honestly can tell you that everything that you heard is solid as a rock. I honestly cannot add anything to what these gentlemen told you, because I thoroughly trust them to the point where I say that 30 years ago, I wish there was a panel of men that I could have spoke with, and I would have saved myself a lot of problems. That doesn't mean I wouldn't have gotten married.
Sure.
That means maybe I would have handled things differently, and I would be in a different place. Now, of course, I am 16 years past all the darkness. Okay, that's a whole generation for most of you. I'm 16 years past the pain, 16 years past the darkness, and have had a lot of time to think about things. And honestly, the advice that you heard, I can't add to it. I can't take away from it.
Phil, just based on what you've heard about this kid's engagement, you know, he's a Marine. Obviously, he's a solid guy. George vouches for him. And listen, the fact that George influenced this guy on any level, that actually makes me feel a lot better about what's to come. So what are your thoughts on this 23-year-old Marine about to get married to a 22-year-old girl?
Before I logged in, I was listening a little bit, and, you know, I second what you say, you know, the fact that George mentored with him and spoke with him and vouches for him. Yeah, he's definitely, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this, that my first wife, the lady that I divorced, I dated for a short while. You know, it was only like 3-4 months. So that's the first red flag for me. I'm going to be honest with you, gentlemen. Things move really quick. Another thing that kind of throws up a red flag in my mind is the counseling with the pastor at the church. You know, I just feel that a lot of that is smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And I know the true nature of human beings, and we all tend to make rash decisions and hurry through things because we want that instant gratification. And I just feel that maybe he could slow down a little bit as well. I kind of second what Hunter's saying on that as well. You know, I just think that rushing into okay, we're going to tie the knot here in front of the state and our family, and we're going to get them involved. And it's very complicated when you try and untie that, especially at 23. I know now, I second what George said as well. If I would have had this panel to talk to me or kind of advise me or kind of show me the pitfalls of what's to befall me before I married my first wife, boy, things sure would have been a lot different, you know. George has got me by 16 years. You know, he's been separated now and divorced for 16 years, right, George? That's what you said.
That is correct.
Not to misspeak. Mine is 10 years now. And I really wish I would have had you guys back then.
Man, listen, I got married in 2003, so that was 16. Wow, so that was 16 years ago. So
and Phil is a guy who won custody, and he made out really good on his divorce. And he's not some dude who got burned in court like most men do.
Yeah. That creates a lot of bitterness, man. A lot of guys, and I think Steve and I were discussing this yesterday on yesterday's Red Line, is that a lot of us learned the red pill the easy way. Well, some of us learned the easy way, some learned the hard way. Now there obviously there are many shades in between, but I am very fortunate. I feel very fortunate that I don't have any kids that I know of. I wasn't divorce raped. I don't pay child support or alimony or anything like that. But there are some guys out here who are absolutely, they're like, dude, I'm done with women. Women are trash. I can't believe this. They're hardcore red pill guys. But here's the thing. Those guys aren't all the same. But what they all have in common is that a lot of their stories started out just like this young Marine kids did, right? She's a beautiful girl. And I think, and I'm going to come to area code 520 next here, I think one of the reasons why he's in a rush is because he thinks to himself, dude, there aren't really a surplus of women like her. He has a scarcity mindset. He says, dude, she's 22. She has a strong relationship with her father. We have the same values and beliefs. She wants to do work in the ministry. So do I. You know, I got to strike while the iron is hot here. But what he doesn't understand is that when he is 36, 37 years old, there will be more women like this available to him that are right around the same age. So again, the fact that George is mentoring him, that makes me feel a lot better about it. But again, it's one of those touch and go things here. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to area code 520. Area code 520, thanks for holding. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks a lot, Don, and I appreciate being online with y'all right
Absolutely.
now. I just had to talk about the that last caller, the Marine, I guess Dale was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what he's going through when he's he wants to get married and all that stuff. But I'm married, like I said before a long time ago. I'm married myself, 4 years running, and it's only after I've been spent 10+ years in the military, and it's not easy to maintain a marriage after you get married. And it's all the honeymoon phase, all that stuff, and then you have to deal with the harder stuff with you have your work that takes priority over your marriage sometimes.
Right.
And being military, you have to be very cautious and careful with what you do to your spouse or with your spouse, because there are regulations that do go against you and abide to your spouse. So he does need to be careful of that, and he needs to do his homework. Even I understand he's talking to George. I'm glad, George, you're talking to him about this stuff, but he needs to do his homework on the military side, because anything that he does that is negative towards his spouse can bite him in the ass harshly in his career.
How about that, man? I've never even thought about that, to be honest with you. Hunter, what are your thoughts on that? About listen, anything he does that could be construed as negative toward his spouse can end up biting him in the ass. What's going on with that?
Yeah, there's an aspect to military wives where that you can totally derail your husband's career if you choose to do so. I mean, whether you're the woman calling the command, that might be what causes him to lose promotion, causes him to get the black mark. So evaluation time comes around, he's not going to be getting the advancements compared to his peers. So there is some weight to it. To the caller's point, you have to be intentional. Now, it seems like Dale was. I put in the chat for us. He's TDY to Japan, so he's not going anywhere. It's basically a shore duty, but it's overseas, so they're calling it a deployment. So he's just hanging out in Japan doing his thing. I don't think he'll be going anywhere from there. So he's pretty stable in that sense. But let's look at the bigger picture. The advice we're giving isn't just to Dale. There's a lot of military men out there. And like I said, I was just an engineer on a ship, and I had over 660 days at sea within 4 years.
Jesus Christ.
And I think over like 500 of those were within I deployed twice within 2 years. It was 8 months. I was back. They fixed the ship. We went back out. It was just a high tempo back then. It's just what you did, man. So I knew, hey, I'm not marrying my wife before our deployment. So I could have made a shit ton of money. And that's what guys do. Hey, if we get married before deployment, I get my BAH, I get family separation allowance, all these extra perks. So they do it for the money. You speed it up. And then guess what? You end up marrying a woman for 2 months that you knew for 2 months. And then you deploy, thinking life will be good. You come back to an empty apartment. I've seen it. I've been the guy who had to talk my friend off the ledge. His wife and kids disappeared. We came back from deployment and there was nothing in his apartment. Dude, all of us are sitting in the berthing, talking about what we're going to do. We're going to have some sex. We're going to see the kids. We're going to go out and get some real food. This man went to an empty apartment, and I was the guy he called, and I had to deal with that. And that is one of the shittiest moments of my life, because that is fucking horrible.
Holy fuck.
When it's so funny, man. When I hear stuff like that, even though it doesn't involve me, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I'm weird. I still feel the bottom drop out of my stomach.
It's primal, man. You can feel it. It's universal.
I want to add to this too, Donovan. Everybody who's in a specific demographic, they always think they're immune. I don't know what the bias is called, but they always think they're immune to statistics. They think it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be my family. Not going to be my marriage. Like I was saying, like military infidelity in military relationships like this, for whatever reason, I don't know. We don't need to go in that whole discussion. I'm not even qualified to, but the stats on it, as I understand it, are pretty clear. Infidelity is significantly higher in military marriages like this. For whatever fucking reason. So he's not immune to that. He is a young man. She is a young woman. They fit those categories, and we can't predetermine what's going to happen in their life. No one has a crystal ball for that, but the stats are not in their favor. So it's good that he's calling into the show, that he knows George and all these things, but I guess what I want to say is no one is immune to statistics. You are part of that stat. You are part of that demographic, and it's not in your favor. That doesn't mean it's a guaranteed loss. It just means it's not. It's just like, divorce. 70% of women 70% of divorces are initiated by women. It's not going to be you who does it if it does happen. There's a huge chance it's going to be her. And that's not healthy. That's not good for culture, and that's not good for you. But that's reality for right now. That's a fact.
Big thanks goes out to Crazy Pie Thief with the $5 super chat. He says military marriages offer more benefits and way more penalties than civilian marriages. Divorce is very common. Chief Raka says, hoorah, YNCS, SW/AW, US Navy retired. One more. This is very profound. Ace in Spades with the $2 super chat. He says, people nowadays prepare for weddings, not marriages. Truer words were never spoken. There's actually a song by a chick, I don't know who she's called, but she says, I don't want to be married, I just want a wedding. And I think that is the prevailing mindset of most women. Hopefully, and I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent with this guy, hopefully calling in today, if he starts to feel a little bit, something is a little bit off, hopefully him calling in today makes him hesitate just a little bit, and maybe he dodges a would-be bullet. We wish him nothing but the best, man. Like, we wish you a lot of luck. I hope this doesn't go sideways for this kid, because again, I've been in some fucked up situations with women. I just know how I felt, man, and I can't imagine a 23, 24-year-old kid going through something like that, man. I can't imagine it.
I think that is an excellent part of vetting as well. If you tell this woman, I'm not going to marry you in August, we're going to push it back to next August. And she's like, oh, okay, definitely. That's a huge plus, because she's like, I don't care about a date for a wedding. I just want to be with you. I just want to be claimed by you for life. I think that's a huge, and this goes out to everybody, delay it. If you say, I don't want to get married for at least a year, and she has an attitude, she doesn't care about being with you. She wants the wedding. She wants to check that box in her life. I think that's a huge vetting point to use.
Listen, I think that is sound advice. Dale, if you're listening, if you're still listening, if you want to dip your toe in the water, if you want to find out if she really cares about you rather than just the title, or just like Hunter said, checking the box, try to put off the wedding for another year or so and see how she reacts. Big thanks goes to the Neg1 with the $3 super chat. He says, Jag does not defend you when you get divorced. Jesus. So Jag defends you when you commit an alleged felony, but they will not defend you when you get divorced. Jesus Christ. Holy smokes. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to area code 515. Area code 515, you're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you for, I love your radio show, guys. I have a small question. I cannot reconcile my red pill with being married. I was a player before, and when I hit around 38, I met a wonderful woman, and I stopped the game. So I know everything about girls, but now I'm married. I'm going to have a kid, and there's something about it that I feel like how do I reconcile both sides, where I love my wife, but yet I know that a woman can cheat on you if they're mad and they're gone, because I used to do that. You go to the bar, you pick a chick, they don't tell you they're married, but then later on you find out that they were married and they cheated on their husband. I know all of that about women, but now I'm married and gonna have a kid with her.
Phil.
Yo.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this guy? He's trying to reconcile marriage with the red pill. So caller, if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're asking us is, how do I have a red pill marriage, right? You're about to have a kid. The red pill tells you don't get married, don't have kids. For the most part, we endorse families. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to sort of collide these two worlds together. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's about it. Like,
okay.
My wife is wonderful. I left all the other women for her because she's unique. But it's something inside of me that goes like, wow, like women are,
Okay. All right. Yeah, Phil, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, first things first, you're getting married now, and you selected the one, I guess you could call it. Always gamer. Keep it interesting, keep it alive. And don't cave on anything. When you set a standard, there is no going back on that standard. And that's my personal experience with my wife is, we have a certain set of guidelines that we live by, and that's just how it is. If you can't handle it, you got to go. That's a harsh reality, but being through a divorce already once before and giving concession after concession, and letting that person display behaviors that just weren't conducive for my overall mental health and physical health. And I just can't go that route anymore. Yeah. How long have you been dating this lady, or before you're marrying her? How long have you been with her? Just out of curiosity.
2.5 years.
No, that's solid right there. So I dated my wife for 3 years, and I put her through the paces.
That's right.
And they were ugly paces, and made it difficult for her. And, to Hunter's point of saying, hey, postpone the wedding. I did that to my wife. Good. Postpone it, and then our wedding, a lot of, like the gentleman said earlier, people prepare for marriage instead of being married, I guess you could say. Right. The wedding. Yeah. Our wedding was very simple the second time around. It was very simple. And, but having a red pill mindset when you're married is easily done. You just have to definitely be 100% the leader of your family and your life all the time. The first sign of weakness on your part, oh, well, I'm too tired. You pick the first time you start doing that. She's going to start assuming control, and then you're going to have to start negotiating with her. We live a relationship in our house that's very respectful, and it's transactional. It's going to go both directions.
Interrupt you quickly. I don't mean to do this. Dale, do not have your woman watch this episode. Listen, we appreciate the $5 super chat. Do not show your woman this. Oh my God. I hope he saw this before he gets on the plane. Do not let your woman watch this stuff. Okay. Don't do it. I can't explain why. Just don't do it. Call into the show if you want to know why. Please continue, Phil. Oh my God.
Yes, sir. The more you continue to lead your wife, or your soon-to-be wife, and your family down a positive path, and the more you let her flourish in her feminine side and not assume things that need to be done more so for her benefit, but you do it, and then it's done deal. You don't have to per se be red pilled and married. You just have to respect yourself first. And when you do that, amazing things can happen in your relationship. I feel that the more I do in my relationship and the more I lead in my relationship, the more my wife is able to flourish in her role in our relationship. There is an easy way to do it. And that is simply respect yourself. Number one.
Yep.
Do not cave. Do not show weakness, because they will test. They're women, bless their hearts. They love to do it. My wife still tests every once in a while. And I'm like, come on now. You're better than that. That's silly.
I would play devil's advocate with Donovan. I'd say sit her down, let her watch it, and watch for her responses. Ignore the words coming out of her mouth. Watch her face and watch what she does.
Okay.
Like, watch her live if you can. I watched Steve watch, for example, the trailer we played before we played it on the show, and it was very interesting to watch his face as he watched it. The trailer was badass.
Yeah.
With this chick, I mean, I don't know. I guess my concern though would be he doesn't have the skills necessary to understand someone's real responses and behavior.
I would listen. I agree with Anthony. If you're experienced, then yeah, let her watch it. The reason why I always tell guys, hey, and guys always ask, hey, should I show my wife this? Should I show my girlfriend this? Should I tell her about the red pill? The reason why I tell them no is because now they know how the sausage is made. And ignorance is bliss. Girls don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to eat sausage, right? Someone who is familiar to us says that women don't want to know they're playing the game. They just want to play the game. So when and if your wife ever tests you or shit tests you or whatever, and you pass that shit test with flying colors, in the back of her mind, she's going to say, okay, did he really do or say this because that's who Dale really is? Or did he do or say this because this is what Donovan said, or this is what George advised him to do, or this is what Steve's told him to do? And at that point, now she's questioning your authenticity. Now she's questioning your congruence. But and what's going to happen then is her shit tests are going to be labyrinth style shit tests. These are these unpassable shit tests. I want to see if this guy really is who he says he is. So I would, there are benefits to letting your soon to be wife watch this, but in my opinion, don't do it.
It's a risk for sure.
It's
But
it's a risk. But there
it
is
is what it is.
There is the reward. Steve, before I come to you on area code 515's question here, Billingsley Meister with the 50 SEKs, I think that's roughly $5.50 US dollars, says everybody is brainwashed by the romanticism of having a picket fenced marriage. Men should not get married in the military. Too many opportunities. Truer words never spoken. This, of course, Dale with the $5 super chat says, thanks, gentlemen. I'm boarding now. I'll definitely have my lady watch this later. No, don't do it. The next one with the $50 super chat, the big 50, says divorces are all handled through civil courts. JAG will only tell you how much and for how long you will have to financially support your spouse or dependents. Know your country and state laws before jumping into marriage as a military man. Trust, he says, but verify. Very good advice there. And the last super chat is Grovelite with the $5 super chat. He says, I never tell a woman that I am I can't read that. I'm an apprentice because, like in the Army, she just has to research the benefits. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, excellent. Okay, so Steve, what are your thoughts on area code 515's situation here? About to get married, about to have a kid. He's vetted her thoroughly. He's been with her for 2.5 years.
He has.
What are your thoughts?
He hasn't vetted. All right, I'm not going on the other side of the street. I'm jumping to the other side of the planet. As a whore, an ex-whore and a slut who's been married for 20 years with no issues, no problems, and all this other stuff. He's talking about I'm a player, but he never said anything about I'm a man, and that's the problem. As a player, you can play as much as you want, but I can tell in your voice that you are not leading her. You don't see the big picture in her eyes. You don't have vision. You don't think critically. You don't stand on your principles, narratives, laws, rules, codes, vision statement, mission statement, and everything that your last name represents for you. And that's the problem with a lot of people. Everybody wants to be a lion until it's time to be a lion. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you want to soften us up by telling us you're a player. That's not telling me anything because everybody can get women. Getting a woman is like turning on a light switch. That's not hard to do, especially nowadays when these women ain't shit. That has nothing to do with it. The bottom line to all of this is that you don't understand what it means to be a man. You have got to lead that woman. Yes, this is the right place for you to get guidance when you need it. But I'm telling you, don't go off of being a player. Be a man. And as a man, know what you want. And the reason why about the picket fence, about the dreams of the picket fence, I find that false too. Because as a man, I built my picket fence because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't let her build it or whenever. And that's the problem with a lot of you guys. Y'all, not you guys on the panel, but a lot of these guys, these young men, y'all have got to stop believing other people's stories and create your own. Judge every woman based off the narratives of your life. Don't listen to somebody else's. Yes, learn from somebody else's, but do not judge all women accordingly based off of somebody else's situation. Because if you're doing that, you're automatically going to fail. Because as a man, I am single-minded. I only work for me. I love me, and I do everything for me. And if she wants to be a part of my world, she can. And if she decides to leave because I'm above all things in my mind, I mean, the picture right there, that let me tell you something. She can go, and I don't care because I know I got options, even when I don't have options, because that's how I feel about myself. So I'm just saying, all that player stuff, guys, y'all got to throw that out. Start being men.
Hunter, what you got on?
Look, man, how am I supposed to follow that up?
I don't know, dude. It's like
all right, I'll make something up.
Did a 3-run homer with 2 outs.
I got something I can hop in with.
No, he just nailed it. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, so back taking a step back to that caller with his chick watching this and stuff. I was thinking about it in the private chat here, talking to you guys. Almost everyone on this panel has brought your woman, girlfriend, wife, or a woman you're fucking to the 21 convention for days, which is not just a web show. It's like a real life, illustration, demonstration of what we're talking about, what we're doing, workshop speeches, blah, 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 right? All of you are able now. All of you are the men you are. You're speakers of the convention, so that's different than what this guy is. He's not there, obviously. What I'm saying is you're able to do that because of you are congruent to the frame that you present to the world. You are the man you present yourself to be. If he can't sit his chick down to watch a publicly available podcast discussing these issues, and she spurgs out and shit tests him like crazy, and he fails all of them, dude, that's first of all, that's going to happen later anyway. So it'd be much better for it to happen now, pre-marriage, pre-divorce, pre-kids, all that shit. And it blows up in his face and the relationship ends. He moves on, gets on with his life, and probably does this in a much better fashion later on down the road when he's late 20s or 30s or something. So that's, I think with the women, watching it, I agree with, the game is to be sold, not told, all this.
Right.
But the issue is if he does trigger a bunch of shit tests and problematic behavior with this and he fails it, dude, it was going to happen sooner or later anyway. It'll just take more time for her to get those kinds of tinglings in her brain and inklings and things like that she'll throw these out over time and it'll fail them. And he might not recover, and it might be this elongated waste of his life or of time. And so it's better, it's better for that to happen now. The same way it's better to learn from other people's mistakes rather than doing it yourself the hard way over and over and over again and going through all the pain and trauma that's associated with that. So yeah, if it blows up in his face now because of a little podcast, dude, he should testing her. If it blows up and it both their faces, dude, better now than later.
I was 100% in the opposite until you said that was an excellent counterpoint. I like the way you reframed that one.
Boom, acting on
well done. I want to talk about this guy who's married, having a kid, having an issue, because I see this a lot. Men discover the red pill, they're in a relationship, and they nuke it because they're like, oh, she could be terrible. Listen, you have to be risk tolerant, and you have to balance that with rational confidence. There's going to be risk with everything you do. But here's something that bothers me. You're a player. You have a 75,000 times my end count. But guess what? I'm not afraid of losing my woman, and you are. So it's not your leg count that develops that foundation of who you are as a man. That is in you. That is what Dean was saying. That's why I really had nothing to add. He fucking nailed it. If you don't have that foundation of self, all this stuff is just flair. You're just distractions. Here's glitter here. Look over there. But don't look at me, because when you challenge me or you confront me, I can't stand up and stand to my message. So it doesn't matter that you were a player. Right now, you're a man of scarcity because you're afraid of losing this one because something bad can happen. I have 2 dogs. Those dogs could rip my throat out. I still have my dogs. I am married. I could lose everything. I could get divorced, raped, the whole 9 yards. I love my kids. They could grow up to hate me because of lies that were spread about me. That's a risk I took, and I stand behind it. If it blows up, at least I'm still standing on my 2 feet. I didn't take the safe route. I took the route I knew I had to take. We don't need to become paranoid because we understand what women are capable of. All things are capable of mass destruction. You have to accept some risk when you make a decision. But sitting on the fence, or you're going to bring this to fruition. You're gonna squeeze the puppy because you love it so much that you're gonna kill it. Your woman is having the child, and you're so afraid of her cheating or her moving on or getting divorced, raped, that you're gonna bring all that negativity to your relationship. And instead of sitting there and enjoying the feminine beauty that is your woman, you're like, that she could be bad. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm having your child. I'm your wife. I'm doing all these things you want me to do, and you're still pissed off because of some weird story built in your head. And now you're crushing the fucking love that makes that bond grow, that attraction.
If I'm keeping it all the way real, I'm guilty of this all the time, man. Like, dude, Devin does what I say when I say, but because of past scars, because of past experiences with women, I can't really enjoy it as much as maybe I could. And I know it affects her, but this is who I am. These are things that you try to work on, but by the same token, this is sort of one of the residual costs of living the red pill. You got it. You have the scars, man. I don't want to compare PTSD from the military, but I have relationship PTSD.
Dude, I wrote a whole post on it. That's a real thing.
You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, okay. It rears its ugly head every once in a while, but that's the reality of the situation. George, what are your thoughts on this? Because what Hunter said was profound. He says, "Listen, your notch count is far higher than mine. The difference between you and me is that I'm not afraid to lose my wife. You're afraid to lose yours." What are your thoughts on that?
The first thing that I thought of with this fella is give her something strong to submit to.
There you go.
Don't give her something nice. Give her something strong. She wants to submit to a strong man. So rather than bowing or you submitting or you morphing into a nicer guy, a more palatable guy, I remember raising 3 children. You couldn't wait to stop mashing the food when they could start eating solid food. You made everything very easy for them to eat. And I think what happens is men were mashing the carrots into a mush like baby food. And that's good for a baby, but you don't do that for a 10-year-old kid. Okay. In a marriage, we try to be so nice. And even in a relationship, I mean, I'm in a relationship. My job is to give her something strong to cling to, not something easy to get along with. So if I get up in the morning, she hears some grunting. She peeks around the corner and I'm doing 50 push-ups.
There you go.
She goes back to bed with a little smirk on her face, thinking, my man, that's my man. You know, I get up before she does. I put on my gym clothes, give a little kiss, head out. She thinks that's my man going to work out. Give her, I'm not telling her what I'm doing. I'm not explaining what I'm doing. I'm giving her something strong to submit. At the end of the day, I'm not going, you know, feel my muscles. You know how like dads do with their kids, feel my muscle. All right. But when she puts her arms around me and I just hear her go, like,
Yeah.
like,
that's a mistake.
And she feels the fucking solid arms and shoulders. I'm like, yeah. Okay. I didn't have to tell her. She saw it. She experienced it. So to this man, give her something strong to submit to. Amp up your masculinity. No macho bullshit. Your masculinity. Improve yourself. Don't have the third slice of pizza. What's the matter? You usually have 3 slices. I'm just having less carbs. That's all. And when she sees that pattern of you taking care of yourself, getting stronger, not watching as much television, her respect just goes up. So for me, gaming, like some people say, well, you got to keep the game going when you're married. I get that, but it's not the same kind of game when you were a single guy. It's a different kind of thing. What you're doing is you're amping the respect. Her respect for you is so important. I know Steve the Dean always says, I'm not into love. I'm into respect. And I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, what the hell is he talking about? You know what? I get that 100%. I get nothing from being loved. I get something. I get amped up from being respected.
Right.
So, Steve, thank you for teaching me that. It has helped me in my current relationship.
Men helping men. Love to hear that. Ace and Spades with the $2 super chat says, Donovan, please enlighten us why you don't want kids. I'm risk tolerant, not that risk tolerant. The main reason I don't want to have kids is because I know that my life would completely change. I'm a selfish son of a bitch. Like everything that I've built myself to be, it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. If I were to have kids, it's not in me to be a shitty father. Like shit. Like I really got to be a good dad. So guess what? I'm no longer the priority. I want to make sure that I'm the priority. That's the main reason why I do not have kids. He also asks, marriage, is it losing frame to propose on one knee? The red pill marriage proposal, right? Private marriage proposal is this, in my opinion. You give her the ring. You don't get on one knee. Just kind of bring it up. Oh, by the way, we're getting married. You're welcome. That's the red pill marriage proposal. You don't ask her. You tell her. That's kind of tongue-in-cheek there. Anthony, what are your thoughts on area code 515's issue here? He wants to know how to be red pill in a marriage. And listen, you've been married before. Can you be red pilled in a marriage, even though she has the kid? Technically, that's leverage here in the United States. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have kids when I was married, and my marriage, of course, is not recognized by the state of Florida or the state of Nevada or any other government. But I believe the guys like Hunter and the Fraternity of Excellence. Yeah, I know. They talk about this pretty well. You can absolutely be red pill, so to speak. You can be fully aware of the nature of woman and deliberately enter into that kind of relationship and family formation and then maintain that throughout the marriage. Guys like Hunter and Phil and Steve and Tanner Guzzi in particular are really good illustrations of this. Yeah. I was actually joking the other day on Twitter. I was mocking Tanner for this beautiful family photo. Yeah. I was like, Tanner's so blue pill. He needs to study the hypergamous, hypergamy, ultra instinct, how his life's going to just get ruined any second. Meanwhile, he has 4 kids and is probably going to have who knows how many more. And good for him. I'm rooting for him 1,000%. So yeah, I don't see marriage as I mean, there's very serious risk with it today that we've discussed extensively on the show and others, you know, and a lot of that's due to feminism and a culture that is increasingly hostile to masculinity and fatherhood and patriarchy and male leadership in any part of life, never mind marriage and family. But yeah, I don't see it as some big issue. But I do take issue, obviously, again, with inviting the government into your home, your family, your relationship, and your life. You're inviting dysfunction into it without any benefit. All the taxes and bullshit, these are like very minor things that are irrelevant. You need to keep the government out of your life and out of your home and out of your family, especially if you want to have a good one that lasts a long time and protects you and your children as best you can. Dad getting fucked over in divorce court is not good for your kids. To put it in the perspective of what's good for your kids is you not killing yourself due to suicide by getting fucked over in divorce court. I've talked to guys that have attended the convention. By the way, a big benefit of attending the convention is not getting hosed in divorce court. This guy lost like over $800,000 in his divorce. Yeah, and this is just recently, like maybe a year and a half ago. It was all finalized, and that was due to assets and this and that and all that. He got fucked, and he was married for like 20 years, and then he just got fucking raped in divorce court. It happens, man. Had he attended the convention younger in life, obviously, and if it was available, he would have saved a lot of money. And there's even worse horror stories than that. But yeah, another thing I want to say is, go ahead, George.
I will say this too: the courts don't care if you're a Christian.
No,
they don't care.
They do not. No.
So you do not get special treatment because you're a Christian couple, like because you're like what? Like they don't care. They don't care. Okay, go ahead.
Very good.
Yeah. So another thing too is for the military guys watching, you can get an extra 25% off your ticket to any 21 convention event with a coupon code military. After you buy your ticket, you need to email in proof of service, current or retired. Other than that, though, you can get 25% off your ticket, and that's coupon code military. The same is true for law enforcement and first responders and young men 25 or younger. Just email us and we'll get you the coupon codes and all that. But then after that, you have to prove age, military service, all that. Finally, I wanted to discuss briefly the PTSD thing. Donovan, you were suggesting you had PTSD from your prior experiences with women.
Oh yeah.
And then you kind of downplayed it because that's usually associated with combat and deaths and like very extreme trauma.
Right.
Where people die or get their faces blown off or limbs or whatever.
I didn't want to compare something as seemingly trivial to,
Well, what I can say is that there's a concept that has been around since the 90s that's gaining steam and traction, and I think will be soon accepted in mainstream psychology. And it's what Richard Grandin, one of our speakers, talks a lot about, and that's complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, or CPTSR, stress response rather than disorder. And I'll tell you right now, Donovan, to put this in terms that everyone will understand on this panel and watching, most girls I fuck more than once, they eventually find out about Medusa, right? They see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot of them are fascinated by it. They'll watch the whole thing. I've had girls watch the whole thing, live text me as they watch it for like fucking 2 hours and then come over and fuck me. They actually come fuck me because of the speech, because I'm like famous to them. It's like a status thing.
Right.
It's really funny. That speech has got me laid in like so many bizarre ways. Porn stars, like sugar babies, all kinds of shit.
Very nice.
What I'm saying is these girls will eventually ask me, I've heard this explicitly even recently. They're like, how can you ever trust a woman again when you married a hooker? And I'll tell you right now, I don't really have a fucking answer yet. It's been 4 years, and I've been single on purpose for several reasons since that time. The past 4 years, almost exactly 4 years. It'll be 4 years in February, pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think I'll heal the trauma. What I'm saying for you, Donovan, too, is the trauma is real, man. When you have like extreme, bizarre shit happen, this is traumatic. It might not be as serious as a singular, massive event where you watch your best friend die, or something like that, or you lose an arm or a leg. But the trauma is real. The emotional scars are real. And your brain doesn't differentiate too much between these different things. Trauma is trauma. And it causes all kinds of problems in how you think about the world and view the world. And you have to integrate them, digest them, and heal from them. And that's part of going through the red pill, the phases, like a grieving process for the bullshit you've been fed your whole life. And then having trauma on top of that, specific to a real life relationship, that just doubles down on the complexity of it. And it takes time to heal these things.
George, what do you got?
Yeah. We can contribute to our trauma. if we are saying as men things like "she's my life," and you've heard this concept before. I don't know what I would do without her. She's my reason for living. This kind of stuff. Then what happens is when she's no longer there, guess what? You no longer have a reason to live. Your life is gone. Don't train yourself to die. Train yourself to live. I will never, ever forget Texas Dom saying this. I don't know, about a year and a half ago, where he told his wife, "I'll be okay. If you walk at that door, I'll be okay."
Right.
That was fucking powerful. Think about that. That was powerful. Train yourself to live. Don't train yourself to die or to be traumatized. And the words that we use describing our...
George, your audio died.
Oh, well. Oh.
Uh-oh, camera's dying.
Now he turns...
Man down. Man down.
I'll add to this. When your woman knows that you could do without her, when your woman knows and understands that if she were to leave or whatever, if the relationship were to come to an end, if she knows that you'd be okay and that you would even thrive in spite of her leaving, she has so much more respect for you, right? She understands, okay, and this is what women want, guys. Women don't. The reason why women don't want to be your whole world is because now now the woman is responsible for your happiness. Women don't want to be responsible for a man's happiness. They don't want to be like Jerry Maguire famously said, "You complete me." Women don't want that yin and yang shit, guys. They don't want a man who lives for her. I don't know what I'd do without you. Listen, that sounds great on the stereo while you're fucking her, right? It sounds great when the Backstreet Boys sing it, or when pick a boy band or R&B artist. It sounds all good and Boys to Men and all this other kind of stuff. But it's quite another when it's applied to real world, right? So all of this rhetoric and I'll live for you and I'll die for Bruno freaking Mars. I'll step in front of a train for you. Fuck no, bitch! Get on them tracks. That ain't finna be me. Like that's the mentality and women will laugh when you tell them this, right? And oh my God, you're so harsh, but they love that because they know that they're not responsible for your happiness. This is powerful stuff, man. Ace in Spades with the $2 super chat says active duty military discount on the 21 convention. Absolutely, man. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's active and retired. U.S. military, Canadian, anywhere in the world, as long as you can prove it. And the same is true for law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, and young men as well, under 25. And the reason for the young men is that, if you're 22, you're probably fucking broke if you're in college and shit like that.
Sure.
So the ticket prices to the convention are there to fund the production of the event and the content and reach millions of men and fathers that we do every year, over 10 million. Just their own direct content, never mind the speakers publishing like Donovan just did and Tanner, their speeches. At the same time, I don't want the ticket price to bar guys from attending. And usually it's not, but sometimes it can be. So we have discounts like this. We have volunteer opportunities. Whatever it takes. If you want to attend the 21 convention, the fatherhood one, the main one, the Poland one, whatever the fuck, I want you at the event and I want to find a way to do that. And so these coupon codes are mechanisms to help with that.
Okay, so the last question that I'm going to ask, and we're gonna close, at least on my end, we're going to close out the show here. Anthony, what do you anticipate happening over the next 10 years? We're reaching the end of the decade. 2020 is almost here. We're going to be starting the 2020s. What are your goals? What are your predictions? Give us sort of a Reader's Digest version upon what you think the next decade holds for us.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're asking in the context of the manosphere and everything that we do. Yeah. I mean, the manosphere obviously exists too in a wider, cultural, ecosystem you could call it. So America and the West for the most part.
Okay.
I think things are going to be pretty good. I think history, surprise is going to repeat itself. I think Donald Trump is going to win in an absolute landslide. In part of his own efforts and in part of the Democrats, which have just stepped on their own dick in like 50 different ways, which has been amazing and highly amusing to me. And it gets better every day. I mean, the shit show just keeps going. So I think that's a very good thing. I'm obviously a fan of Trump. And I think he's just a representation even, or an expression of a larger political movement that has wider cultural implications. I think the manosphere, for example, I think through that, the Manosphere and other alternative content sources, alternative media, Paul Joseph Watson, all these guys, huge YouTubers and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're going to survive. I think we're going to survive tech censorship. I think things are going to happen that protect us from this really weird crap, whether it's alt tech, circumventing that, or government intervention, cracking down on big tech, these fucking creeper weirdos that like to spy on everybody and do all this weird sketchy ass shit. And that's a good thing. Free speech is really powerful. And that's why these people, these oppressive fucking weirdos, want to shut everyone down and shut everyone up. They don't want to have an open debate. They don't want to have an open discussion. They want to silence everyone because they're fucking Bolshevik weirdos. But I think they're going to fail. I think things are going to get better through free speech. I think the economy is going to boom throughout the 20s, just like it did in the last fucking 20s. Hopefully that doesn't end some huge crash at the end of it. But it might. History does repeat itself, right? So I think things are going to get a lot better. I know things are dark right now, especially for men and fathers. Culture has been absolutely aggressively hostile to our very existence in every way imaginable, from boyhood to fatherhood. Men get shit on in this country and throughout the West. And you don't see that in other nations. You don't see that in Poland. You don't see that in parts of Asia and South America and stuff. But in America and the West, it's particularly prevalent. But I think things are going to get better, as dark as they are right now. And I think the Manosphere is going to lead the charge in a lot of ways for the cultural side of that, and the social and the relationships and the marriages and the family, exactly like what the guys in this panel are doing, and like I'm doing by organizing all of you guys into a higher kind of meta convention where all of you guys gather, and the Red Man Group and these things. So things are shitty right now. They've been getting more agitated and higher tension in recent years with all the crap from feminism, Believe Women, Me Too, and all that. But I think things are going to get better. I think the coming 20s are going to be very positive. And hopefully we make it through any kind of calamity that follows it, or we circumvent that.
Good stuff. George, what are your predictions for the 20s? Things going to get better? Things going to get worse? Is it going to be status quo? What are your thoughts?
I think people are going to be more cemented, calcified in their opinions. I think strong men will be stronger. Weak men will be weaker. There's going to be very few people crossing the river. There will be some weak men that swim across the river to the strong side. Strong men will not swim across to the other side because they see no benefit in it. I think there's going to be a lot of groups like this starting, a lot of spin-off groups.
Yeah.
I think some will be more extreme, kind of like, the women ain't, what,
right,
kind of groups. Those guys will continue that. I think there will be a balance. The influx of men into the red pill will, everybody pitches their tent at MGTOW to begin with. Most people do. And then you kind of pull up stakes a little bit. Like I like to say, pitch a tent there, don't build a house there. It's a nice place to visit, but you don't want to live there. And yeah. And what happens is, I believe, because women see what's happening with men, like what we are talking about right here, I do believe that women will make themselves known to strong men, like my woman did with me. I did not have to seek her out. She sought me out. And I attracted her. I did not pursue her. So I believe that the stronger men will be gleaning from the top 2, 3, 4, 5% of women. And the top 2, 3, 4, and 5% of women are women who want to submit. And I'm not talking about being a slave or, anything, just being a housewife all day, and which there is nothing wrong with.
Hey man, some girls want that, dude.
Yeah. And if that's what they want to do, that's awesome. And I think what's going to happen is, I think we're going to see more balanced relationships. And I think because we're coming under fire, we're going to hunker down more. I know I am.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of hunkering down. I am the do 50 push-ups upon waking kind of guy. And I know that's loved. That's loved. Any grown woman who has been around in her lifetime, and, we're not going to meet a lot of virgins these days. That just is not going to happen. It doesn't take much to be excellent. if all you do is do 50 push-ups upon waking and chug a bottle of water right away before you have your coffee and hit the gym a couple times a week and read more and watch TV less, you're already like in the top, 20%. It doesn't take much more work to get to the top 10, top 5%. And what I'm seeing is like the men here, you guys really are top 5. You're top 5. And I have 100% faith and confidence that when I direct somebody to a group like this, that they're going to receive something. Honestly, I can't confidently refer men to other groups because of how I know it's going to affect them. This is a nice balanced approach. I think we represent balance. I think we represent healthy single lives. We represent healthy married lives, healthy coupled up lives. I think we are a nice sample of all of that. We're not never get married, women ain't shit. We're not like that. Or we are not run to the altar either. And I think, and I never want to be defined. Like, for instance,
oh, good God. He literally just
I thought it was me.
No. He like just disappeared. George, get back in here. So Hunter, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions on the coming decade?
I think we're moving to the physical realm. I think there's been a lot of growth as far as brands. There's been a lot of growth as far as respect and, control and sphere through these accounts that are just online. And people, I think men are going to start wanting to be like, hey, meet me. Let's meet up in person. Let me see you are who you say you are. Let me see you deliver the message. This is why I really push 21Con. And it's to me, and I talked to Anthony about this, I view the greatest part of that is men showing up. And I think in that moment, when you shake Donovan's hand, you're like, oh shit, Donovan is Donovan. And they're so used to people not being the person they say they are, whether they're exposed, whether they're being found out, like, oh, this guy who said he's a player has been, DMing this girl, he's obsessed with her and he's never had sex before. You're like, what the fuck? Like, people just keep letting people down, Right. But then when you meet them in person, you're like, no, that guy's legit. So I know, and just looking at my group, the Fraternity of Excellence, when these men meet up, it forges that bond. It's just like, I call it consummating the friendship. You're like, all right, that's a real man. I think we're going to see even more of that happening. I think more groups are going to pop up. I think more stuff like the Red Man Group, which shifts very heavily into 21Con, those meetings. I think men who meet at 21Con are going to forge their businesses, forge their pockets, go out and have their tribe, whether it's just meeting up once a week to get a beer, to get dinner, to do whatever it is they're doing.
Shit, right?
I think we're going to see manospherian men, I guess is the way to say it, coming together, and you're going to see pockets of men running Spartan races, pockets of men starting this, whatever obstacle courses there are. And all of a sudden, these pockets of dudes are going to be showing up and being men again. And they're going to be less worried about how many likes and how much, power, quote unquote, they can get online, and more about, hey, if shit hits the fan, I know men I can call who will show up in person.
Yeah, real life is where it's at, man. Noah Ravoy, one of our speakers from Poland, has said that the 21 Convention is the heart of the manosphere. And that's not to dig at other events. It's that it's a centralized event for other content creators. It's not like an isolated event for a specific company. And it's real life's where it's at, man. The offline manosphere, yeah, it's the future. It's super powerful stuff.
Before I go to Steve here, I think that's the difference between the 21 Convention and everything else, is that it's tangible, right? Yeah. Like there are, I don't know how many groups there are, but there are so many groups like this. But this is the only group that I know of that actually meets in person. You can see people, you can shake their hands, you can actually have real face-to-face conversations with them. Steve, what is your prediction for the 2020s?
Well, I kind of want to take off what George is saying. See, the thing is, first off, real men like you gentlemen on the panel, y'all are going to be fine. Y'all are going to carry through like y'all have done every year. That's not the problem that I see in the near decade coming along. It's everybody else and how the woman is going to run these guys, because most of these guys are coming in with an emotional fear where these women don't fear them. They have a fear of women. And if you're coming in with fear versus or coming in with an emotion versus an emotional person, she doesn't have to use her emotions. And after a while, she's going to probably kind of think logic. Now, not with real men, but for those guys out there, because a lot of these guys, 2020, I see a lot of these guys going to get even worse. The dependency to belong somewhere or be a sheep and follow the herd and not necessarily be single-minded, be your own community. See, what a lot of people don't understand about this show right here is that everybody on this panel is single-minded and everybody on this panel is their own community. We are just coming together as men, as our own communities. And once we turn the switch off, we're going back to our lives as our own communities. Thus, that's what makes us special. And most guys are going to have the problem because a lot of these guys, unfortunately, are very gullible because they believe what somebody is saying without questioning the person that is saying what they're saying. They blindly follow because maybe he's got 100,000 subscribers, or maybe he's making me feel good or something like that, but they blindly follow, and it's going to get even worse. But on top of that, you've got the disillusionment. You got these guys that are disillusioned. They think that Hunter became a man overnight. They think you and everybody on this panel, we took a magical pill and we drunk a magical drink, and then tomorrow we became men. And that's the problem that I try to tell these guys. You cannot do open heart surgery, fly a plane, or be a man over in a day. But because of their disillusionment and what we call the Smiths, or if you're in the Bible, the Antichrist, and these people that are guiding these young men to their demise, they don't see that because we're in a world of everybody, we instantaneous. Now I'm not gonna go in my old when I was old and stuff, but everybody gets everything instantaneous. If they want something, they just hit a button on their phone and they get it. So they're looking for everything in black and white terms. What is a man in one sentence? And then they think they're going to take that sentence and utilize it. Then when they get into the real world and they get ate up by a woman, then they're going to, blame women. And the last thing I want to say is this: them being naive is going to be a problem in 2020 because they believe the false prophet. They are so blinded, or their thirst to want to be part of something, want to follow somebody, or they want to become something, that they are willing to cut the game. I don't mean to be in the street here, but you can't cheat the game. That's just real. Right. You cannot try to go around it, above it, or under it. You can't do it. But the problem with a lot of these guys is because, single mom and all that other stuff, a lot of these guys are going to be blind. So 2020, not for these men on the panel, you men are going to grow, and y'all going to continue to grow. And I'm be honored to watch the growth in y'all, because that's what men love. We honor each other. But for the majority of everybody else that's just hanging around and they're not getting the knowledge that they need to grow as a individual and try to learn, because the learn is a process. 2020 is going to be hard for them because the women, to them, not to us, the women are going to be smarter and dangerous to these guys because they're not coming in with fear or emotion, sir.
Wow, well put, man. Well put. Phil, what are your predictions for the 2020s?
The 2020s, I think Trump, I'm with Anthony on that. Trump's going to crush.
Yep.
I think there's going to continue to be gridlock, and it all starts from the top down, really. And they can't get it straight up there. It just trickles down to the rest of us, unfortunately, especially the herd. The 2020s, I think there's definitely going to be a shift as far as the divisiveness in the manosphere. I think, guys out there trying to hate or spread misinformation or discredit or
propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. Words like that are going to continue the barrage, so to speak. And unfortunately, the guys caught in the ether trying to figure out, the guys that Steve were speaking about, that are screwed, that are lost, they're going to continue to float in that ether. And as long as guys like us do the things we do and continue to win on a daily basis, be strong, be independent minded, and carry ourselves with a sense of strong frame, masculinity, and strong leadership in your family, I think that will start bringing guys back over to waking up a little bit more. Unfortunately, I think the general hate towards men will continue to grow in the 2020s.
Yeah.
I think that even the male feminists out there that you go girl kind of guys are going to continue to bolster women into doing the things that they're doing now, and it's going to get worse. And unfortunately, the victimization of men, there's going to be a whole nother generation. If guys like us or other folks out there in this world that are living a true life to themselves don't kind of work on spreading that message, and that leads me into some tribalism, kind of like what Hunter was saying. I think there's going to be more tribalism and more opportunity for men to get together. I've met every one of you guys, not maybe face to face or passing at 21 Con. That's Anthony's production there. One of the greatest things I could ever done in my life personally was solidify, kind of like what Hunter was saying. Hey, that's a real guy right there.
Yep.
And I don't really create any content, but I live a particular lifestyle and want to be a particular human being, and that's a winning human being. So I try to surround myself with guys like George, Donovan, Anthony, Hunter, Steve, guys like this. They're somewhere where I want to be. And that's what I have plans for in 2020. I'm constantly networking at the 21 Con and other events. And there's some big plans in the works for myself over the next 10 years that I've kind of looked back on the 19s and the teens and kind of said, well, geez, I wasted a lot of time right there.
Right.
Even as hard as I'm working now, I wasted some time. There was time wasted. And so I'm going to work on that as well. So I just see that as long as a true message of masculinity, such as this message right here, continues to broadcast out there, it's nothing but a winning proposition. And the guys that don't want that information, they're going to keep that shield up.
Right.
Oh, it's not real. So that's what I see coming.
Well, listen, Phil, if you don't produce content, I think it's pretty clear that you certainly produce traps.
Yeah,
for sure. You've got the largest. I think you and Ed have the biggest traps I think I've ever seen.
Here's the deal: if I can't see your traps through your sweatshirt, we got work to do, man.
We got problems. We got problems. MLB actually said this one time: if you're not afraid of your dating coach, then you've got the wrong dating coach. My prediction for 2020 is, or the 2020s is, and I agree with this crazy pie thief. He says 2020, this is going to go mainstream. The red pill is definitely going to go mainstream for sure. It's going to go mainstream in 2020 because Donald Trump is going to win by a landslide. And I think his imminent victory is going to highlight the red pill community again. It highlighted the red pill community before, but this new presidential campaign, and it's not going to be Trump that does it. It's going to be the opposition, right? Democrats and, like Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and all the, Beto or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. These are the people that are going to speak out against Trump and people like him. Then they're going to say, they're going to say, oh, these evil misogynistic men with their red pill groups. That's what's really going to bring this to the forefront. I think that's good for all involved, for absolute sure. I'm very, very much looking forward. I'm very much looking forward to to this going mainstream and more or less being on the ground floor of what's going on here. I would like to have a more optimistic view on what's to come. But just like Phil says, I think this is beneficial for all involved. That's my prediction for 2020. I think this goes mainstream. I think we're obviously going to get a lot of opposition, but by the same token, I think that the men that galvanize together and really make it a point to become a part of masculine groups like this, I think that's a win for everyone. And any man that doesn't want to accept this sort of brotherhood was never going to accept it in the first place. That's just all there is to it. Listen, if you like red pill content, great. We're more than happy to help you. But if you want to speak out against it, then fine. I mean, listen, we're going to do this with or without you. That's kind of the way that goes.
Donovan, to follow up on this, what your comment with this crazy pie thief guy, this is along the lines of what I was thinking too. There's a guy who works with me now at 21 Studios, one of our new guys, and he's like 23 years old. He has been watching the convention since he was 11 years old, almost since the beginning of the company. 1 year into it, he found it 2008. So what I'm saying about him, not only has he been involved for a while, not helping out, and big fan, obviously, there's an entire generation of young guys who have grown up watching tons and tons of YouTube videos from 21 Studios, from Stefan Molyneux, and everywhere else in between, Sargon of Akkad and all these huge channels. Those young guys are leaving their teens now. They're late teens and early 20s. They're getting jobs. They're doing things in life. They're getting degrees. They're building companies. They're gaining power as a generation of young men. And I think that's a very good thing. And we're going to see them come of age in the 2020s. And I think they're going to be firmly on the side of positive masculinity, real masculinity, and the manosphere, either explicitly or, you know, as a byproduct by being around it and the speakers and stuff that we all know and that we're familiar with on YouTube and stuff. I mean, for whatever reason, YouTube's been heavily dominated by men, particularly young men, and, you know, right-leaning and all that stuff, Trump fans. But yeah, I think that's a very good thing. These young men coming of age, they're no longer powerless 15-year-olds watching YouTube videos from some guy they like hitting the like button. Now they're sending money. Now they're buying tickets to a conference. Now they're starting their own podcast, their own blog. So they're coming of age where they can do all these things. That's a very positive thing for this country and for the manosphere and for men. So it's about damn time, and fuck yeah.
With that, that is going to end the last Redman group of the decade, episode 92. Steve, Anthony, George, Phil, Hunter, thank you all for being a part of this broadcast. Thank you to all of the super chatters. Thank you to the callers. Dale, good luck with your marriage. Hopefully you do the right thing and wait this thing out. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you guys in the spring.
Fuck yeah.
Man.